So I'm sure you guys are getting tired of me yapping about cleansing on the channel, as this will be my third video talking about catharmos or something related, but a viewer, one of you guys, actually pointed out something interesting. The Fluffy has declared that khernips as modern Khernips, as modern practitioners understand it, is not entirely historically based, basically explaining that the recipe of burning a twig or herb and dropping it into water to purify it while saying something like kherniptosai is a modern invention slash interpretation of historical practice, and that being simply washing your hands and face in clean water. Naturally, I dove headfirst into research to verify the validity of this claim, and what I came across is a bit complicated. Let me explain. So as the commenter explained, the term khernips literally translates to hand washing water. It was water from a fountain or river that was placed near altars and sanctuaries so people could wash before rituals. The act of making khernips itself was washing your hands and your face. Now, this is a bit different than the modern use of the term khernips. In modern times, khernips refers to basically holy water. This was that same hand-washing water, but specifically consecrated through a simple rite of taking a twig or leaf or herb and burning it before dropping it into water and saying a prayer. The idea behind it is that you're combining two purifying elements, fire and water, to create a highly purifying substance. You'll find many tutorials and guides on how to make khernips this way online on websites like hellenicfaith.com and hellenic.com. Shout out to V. Now, does that mean that this modern khernips recipe is wrong? No, for several reasons. The first reason, and if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know what I'm about to say. Modern concepts are not less valid as long as you understand what it is and why you're doing it. Just like in my last video, the topic of tarot cards came up. Obviously, the ancient Greeks weren't using tarot cards, but that doesn't mean that the gods wouldn't adapt to modern concepts. They aren't stagnant beings. Now, this is a bit different because we're talking about a communication form with the gods and not a specific ritual, but that leads me to a second reason. So the second reason why modern khernips recipe isn't necessarily wrong is because the idea itself is grounded in concrete theology. As I said earlier, the idea behind khernips is to combine two purifying elements, fire and water. In ancient Greece, fire, especially smoke that arose from that fire, was extremely purifying. This is seen in many ancient texts, such as the Odyssey, when Odysseus burns brimstone to purify his palace after many people were slaughtered in it. And this was specifically to rid the place of miasma, and is one of the many examples that show the purity of smoke. This is why incense is used in so often in modern practice to purify entire rooms at a time. This, combined with the hand-washing water from a river or fountain, is where you get the idea for khernips. Some ancient rituals do involve a form of khernips, in which fire from an altar or hearth was dipped in water to purify it. But this was done during specific rituals and wasn't an everyday thing or even very common at all. So this modern concept of khernips was not just invented out of thin air, but instead an interpretation of ancient practice that slowly became authoritative after a long period of time passed. Things like this are very common in religions like Hellenic polytheism because where there is a lack of information, people will fill in those gaps. These filled in gaps aren't necessarily misinformation, but instead another way to bring the ancient world to modern life. You can include it in your practice or leave it out if you really can't be bothered. As long as you do some sort of hand washing before rituals, they'll be fine. But that's all for today. If you want to officially become a part of Hellenism today and support our organization, go to our website link below and hit join. Most importantly, keep learning, practice Xenia, and stay dramatic, just like the gods intended.